Welcome to Coffee and Regs.
Hello, I'm Matt Calabro with CSS. Today, I'd like to highlight 3 compliance trends that I'll be watching in 2022. First, ESG. 2021 saw significant growth in the number of advisors offering ESG strategies. During the year, the Sustainable Finance Disclosure Reporting, or SFDR rules, came into effect in the European Union, bringing global attention to investing with consideration for environmental, social, and governance factors. In a new study, Broadridge estimates that assets in dedicated ESG funds can grow from $8 trillion today to $30 trillion by 2030. Net inflows into ESG funds in the first 9 months of 2021 exceeded that of all of 2020. One challenge for managers investing in ESG strategies is the availability of consistent information by companies with respect to their practices. The SEC has indicated that addressing ESG is a priority on several fronts. The likely first area of rulemaking will be requirements related to the consistency of ESG disclosures from public companies. This increased disclosure will ultimately lead to better data for advisors implementing their own ESG strategies. For advisors, the SEC's Division of Examinations issued a risk alert in April of 2021, identifying an examination focus on portfolio management practices, proxy voting, compliance with firms' own stated policies and procedures and the effectiveness of their implementation, and ESG disclosures, including regulatory filings, websites, reports to sponsors on global ESG frameworks, client presentations, and other marketing materials. We'll likely see our first enforcement actions in this area very soon. Remember, at the end of the day, advisors need to develop good governance practices, document those relative processes, and most importantly, do what you say you're doing. Next, expect the SEC to propose new rules targeting private funds. In a recent speech, Chairman Gary Gensler highlighted several areas where he would consider additional rulemaking. His concern, in part, stems from the growth in private funds and the fact that retirement plans and endowments are increasingly invested in private funds, bringing exposure to average Americans and those saving for retirement. First, he wants to look at the fees charged by advisors to private funds. He notes that while fees for other investment products have dropped dramatically over the past 2 decades, private fund fees have not changed much. He also notes that some advisors charge a variety of other fees that may not be transparent to fund investors. Another topic of SEC focus relates to side letters, in which some limited partners in a fund receive terms that may not be available to other investors. While many side letters deal with administrative things like specialized reporting, in some cases, certain investors may have access to better terms, such as lower fees, preferential liquidity, or additional disclosures. Finally, with respect to private funds, Gensler expressed concerns about private fund advisors effectively managing conflicts of interest and meeting their fiduciary duty to a fund's limited partners. The last topic I want to touch on is that 2022 seems to be the year for an advisor to take measure of its compliance program. In 2022, advisors will be challenged with return to the office plans, stiff competition for talent, and the realization that some level of remote work will remain permanent. Compliance professionals should focus on how those changes affect a firm's compliance program. Consider how issues such as data protection, employee surveillance, and promoting a culture of compliance are addressed in a new business model. We have already seen regulators around the world asking questions on those topics. One lesson from our COVID experience is that we learned that our businesses could operate remotely. This experience, coupled with a tight talent pool, has led to an increase of outsourcing activities, particularly in the compliance function. Looking to third parties to conduct compliance tasks from email surveillance to marketing reviews and up to including serving as an outsourced CCO is a rising trend that we expect to continue. Advisors will need to adapt their businesses to meet these new realities.
This has been another episode of Coffee and Regs.